Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. So happy that you're here. This is a channel where we talk about all things affordable makeup, skincare, hair care. Everything here is from the drugstore and at an affordable price because I think you can find everything you need for an amazing makeup collection right at the drugstore without paying a ton of money. I do monthly, at least monthly, sometimes twice a month videos where I talk about all of the brand new releases at the drugstore. I test all of those products. So if that's something that interests you, then definitely stick around by clicking that subscribe button down below, and I would love to have you. But in today's video, I'm going to be sharing something that was actually inspired by my sister-in-law. She is not a makeup wearer, and she texted me last week and was like, I want to start wearing a little bit of makeup. I don't have any idea where to start. When I walk into Target or a drugstore, I feel so overwhelmed by these walls and walls of makeup. So can you just give me a list of products to buy and tell me how to use them? And I was like, yeah, of course. So I thought that I would make this video kind of based off of that request because I think there's a lot of people that feel that way. And I just wanted to create a kit of makeup that's absolutely everything you need at an affordable price that's very beginner friendly. Okay, so typically the first product that you would apply in your makeup routine is primer. I don't think it's a super critical step, especially if you're just beginning in makeup. I didn't use primer for years when I started wearing makeup, but what I do think is a critical step is moisturizer. This is, if you've been around a while, you know, this is my absolute favorite moisturizer of all time, not just from the drugstore, from anywhere. It's fantastic. This is the Neutrogena Hydroboost Gel Cream for extra dry skin. This is fragrance-free, it has hyaluronic acid in it. I actually have kind of oily skin and this still works perfectly on my skin. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply some of this as my base for my makeup. You just need a pea-size amount. It's this watery gel formula and it goes on so lightweight and so moisturizing at the same time. And it just soaks right into your skin. I'd recommend giving it a couple of minutes to totally soak in, but the good thing about this is you can use it morning and night. So if you're not currently using a moisturizer, this is a great one to get to use under your makeup as well as once you take your makeup off when you go to sleep at night. All right, next up is a base product. I went back and forth on this quite a bit because there's a ton of beginner-friendly base products. The new L'Oreal Skin Paradise Water Infused Moisturizer. I absolutely love that and it's very lightweight. When I thought about something that was versatile enough to check all of the boxes and suitable for most skin types, this is the one that I landed on. This is the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Makeup. I just think this is a timeless classic product and they have so many shades. I guarantee you can find one that suits you. And just like I told my sister-in-law when she was asking, like, how do I find my shade in this wall of different colors at the drugstore that you can't try? And I told her, at least at Target, what I used to do before I kind of got really good at nailing down my color was I would go take my best guess, buy it, go out to the parking lot in my car, which is the best lighting because it's natural light and it's going to be the harshest, and I just match it against my neck, and if it was too light or too dark, I would walk right back into Target and exchange it. And I would just do that over and over again until I landed on the right color because I didn't want to leave and go home and have to go back. So Target accepts returns even with opened makeup. So if you're having trouble finding your shade, there's no shame in having to try more than one time. So what I love about this is that it's a super blendable consistency. I'm just putting some on the back of my hand right now. So you have a lot of options here. You can, instead of just applying this moisturizer all on its own, you can take some of this on the back of your hand, put some moisturizer on there and mix it in together and just apply that with your fingers and you've just created your own tinted moisturizer. You can also, if you want a little bit more coverage but you still want it to be really lightweight, you can just use your fingers to apply this. Just apply it instead of on the back of your hand to your fingertips, rub them together and just blend it in. Because it's such like a watery, blendable consistency, blending in with your hands is super easy. But I'm gonna use this Real Techniques buffing brush. And spoiler alert, next week's video is all about brushes. So if that's somewhere that you feel like you need some guidance, next week's video, I'm going to be sharing all of my favorite drugstore brushes for every category. I'm just applying a really light layer of this and all it's doing is evening out my skin tone in a very natural way. You can still see my skin coming through. It's a very natural finish. It's not too dewy, it's not too matte. It just looks like skin. So on the lightest end of the spectrum, mix it in with your moisturizer. The next step would be to just apply it with your fingers in a really light layer. The next step would be to apply it like I just did with a brush and a really light layer. And then if you wanted more than that, you could just add a second layer on top of this, which I will do just to show you that this is quite buildable. So part of the reason I chose this is because foundation lasts quite a long time. It can last several months. And maybe right now in your makeup journey, you're not comfortable with a base product and you really just want something on that tinted moisturizer end of the spectrum. But maybe a few months down the road, you're starting to get more comfortable with it. You're starting to want more coverage and do more full makeup looks. Then you're not going to have to go buy a new foundation in order to achieve that. This one will take you through all of those different stages without you needing to buy another one. All right, next up is concealer. And I chose one that again is timeless. There's a large shade range and that's really natural looking. And I chose the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. This has been a favorite concealer of mine for 5 years at least, and it provides amazing coverage, but it also goes on really thin and super naturally, so you're not gonna have to worry about really cakey under eyes or really cakey blemish concealing. So what I recommend with concealer is to buy 2 shades lighter than your foundation color, because what we're gonna really be trying to do is brighten up our under eyes, and you can only do that if it's a little bit lighter than your foundation. So this is the shade Sand, and you can see it's not going on like white, but it's definitely brighter than the rest of my face. So it's going to bring some dimension and some life into my very dark under eyes. And I think it's fine to use whatever brush you're using for your foundation to blend in your concealer. And if you're someone that struggles with breakouts and you want to have a concealer specifically for blemish concealing, like I said, I recommend that your under eye concealer be a couple shades lighter than your foundation. However, I recommend that the concealer that you use for blemish control or blemish concealing is the exact same color or as close as possible to the same color as your foundation, because you don't want to use that brightening concealer on a blemish because you're just going to highlight that blemish. So if blemish concealing is something you really feel like you need, I'd recommend buying 2 different shades of concealer, one a little bit lighter and one as close as possible to your foundation color. All right, next up for powder. I chose a powder that I believe has the most natural finish out of any powders that I use. I think it's oily and dry skin friendly, normal skin friendly. I just think it covers all of the bases. And it is the No. 7 Translucent Perfect Light Loose Powder. This is also hypoallergenic. I tried to choose a lot of friendly products for sensitive skin because I know a lot of people, like my sister-in-law, don't wear makeup because of the reaction that they have to it when they wear it. So looking for things like hypoallergenic, fragrance-free, and oil-free in your products can really help ensure that you don't have a reaction to makeup if you're first getting into it. So I'm just gonna put some of this loose powder. It looks intimidating, but I promise it's not. I'm just gonna put just a little bit right here into the cap. And I'm gonna use this e.l.f. blush brush, which is actually really great for setting foundation. I don't think I've ever used it for blush. And just dab my brush in there and tap off the excess before I apply it to my face, so I'm not putting too much powder on. And then I just like to start right here underneath my eye and set that concealer. It's important to set your concealer relatively quickly after you put it on, because whatever the concealer looks like when you set it, that's what it's going to stay looking like, because the point of a setting powder is to keep whatever makeup you have on in place all day. So if you put your concealer on and then wait 20 minutes before you set it, it's probably going to start creasing a little bit. And then if you go in and use a setting powder on top of creased concealer, then you're basically sealing that creased concealer in. And I'm just going to apply some to my chin, around my nose where I put the concealer. If you're oily, I would definitely set everywhere. But I do think for beginners, it's nice to at least put a light layer all over your skin, because it just makes whatever products you put on top of your foundation go on a lot more evenly, because you're starting with a consistent base. So let's say you just set like this area of your face. When you go in with your bronzer or your blush, the blush or bronzer is going to go on differently right here than it is right here, because right here you have a setting powder, whereas right here you have fresh foundation. So it just makes it a little bit more complicated than if you have a consistent base to work on top of. All right, and then for bronzer, the one that I chose is the e.l.f. Primer Infused Bronzer. And I chose this because, like I've said multiple times, I think this goes on really nicely on bare skin because it is infused with a primer. So even if you don't have a foundation on, I think you can go in with a moisturizer, let it set, and then apply this to wherever you want to bronze up. So I feel like this is more of a versatile product, especially for beginners that may not want to wear a foundation every single day. So to apply it, I'm just going to use this EcoTools powder brush. And again, just swirl my brush in, tap off the excess. And then I like to just apply bronzer kind of where the sun hits. I don't think it's necessary to start contouring right when you're starting with makeup, but I do think adding some dimension back into your face is important. So I like to just put it right here along my hairline and then on my cheeks, the tops of my cheeks. And then for blush, I've chosen these e.l.f. face duos. I've chosen this not only because it's only $3, and I think that's an amazing price for 2 different products in your makeup collection, but I also think if you're new to picking out tones of blush and highlighter, it's really helpful to have them pre-selected for you so you know, okay, I know this blush is gonna go with this highlighter because they packaged it together. And if you're not quite ready to try highlighter, but you wanna have it on hand for maybe a day that you feel a little bit daring, you could just use the blush out of this for a while, and then it's here if you ever feel like using it. And to apply this, I'm going to use this Wet n Wild powder brush and just dip it in there and tap off the excess and then just put it right here. The sun is coming out, so hopefully the lighting is okay. So just apply it as little or as much as you would like. And then for highlighter, I'm going to apply a little bit of that highlighter with this Real Techniques setting brush and just put my brush in there, tap off, and apply it right on the tops of my cheekbones. And the other thing I want to mention with this product, and another reason I think it's great for a starter kit, is that you could totally skip eyeshadow. I have some eyeshadow options in here if that's something you wanted to add to your makeup collection. But if not, you could use this blush in your crease and you could use this highlighter on your lid and inner corner, and it would look beautiful all together because it kind of ties your look together. So just another option if you want to check off 3 different boxes, your blush, your highlighter, and your eyeshadow with one $3 product. Okay, I just updated the lighting because the sun is coming and going and coming and going, so hopefully it's not too distracting. Okay, so for brows, I chose something that I've spoken before about being the best brow product if you are new to filling in your brows because it's very beginner friendly. And this is the e.l.f. Instant Brow Lift Pencil. This is also $2 or $3, so it's a really good price point. And it has a nice thick applicator. So really what you're doing with a product like this is kind of shading in your brows more than trying to create those hair-like strokes because of the thickness of the applicator. So I'll just kind of show you what I do, which is very roughly outline the shape of my brows, and please ignore how badly I need to get my brows waxed. Just kind of draw along the natural brow and then just lightly fill in the center and then comb it through. And if that step seemed too intimidating for you and you're like, whoa, there's no way I'm going to be using a brow pencil, it's my very first time using makeup, or that just doesn't appeal to me, then I think this is an alternative option that you can use instead. This is the e.l.f. Wow Brow, and this is just a brow gel with a little bit of color that you can run through your brows to give them some definition, and it will give them some fullness in terms of the shade because it's tinted. So if all you wanted to do to start out is run this through your brows, I think that would make a big difference. So feel free to go either or here or get both of these. The next product I want to talk about is eyeshadow. And I went back and forth here probably more than I did on any other product. So I ended up going with 2 different options depending on what you're looking for. The first is a $4 eyeshadow quad, and it's the Wet n Wild eyeshadow quad in Walking on Eggshells. I think this is a perfect palette for beginners, and it's still something that I use all the time. The shades in here are really non-intimidating. There's a lot you can do with just the few amount of shades you get in here. And I don't know if you guys can see, but it tells you exactly what to do with each shade. This one says eyelid, brow bone, crease, and transition. So you have kind of the directions right here on the eyeshadow palette, which I find to be really helpful for beginners. And then the other option here is to just use your bronzer as an eyeshadow. So you can just take a fluffy blending brush like this one from Wet n Wild and your bronzer and run this through your crease. I do this all of the time. This is probably my most common everyday eyeshadow because it just gives your eyes some definition. So like I said, amazing eyeshadow palette for beginners, or just take your bronzer, and I like to combine that with something like this. This is the Revlon Color Stay Cream Eyeshadow, and I think this is a really friendly beginner product because you can just use your finger and get some product on it and just put this all over my lid. And this just gives your lid some shimmer, but not too much shimmer. It's very everyday friendly. All right, next up is mascara. And I chose the mascara that I am currently obsessed with. That won't surprise anyone. And it's the CoverGirl Lash Blast Clean Mascara. The reason that I've chosen this one is because, again, you've heard me say this 100 times, it's beginner friendly because that's the whole point of this video. But this one really is. You can go in with one coat on your lashes and just kind of define them, blacken them, and be done. And that's it. It makes a huge difference. Looks like you're wearing makeup, but it's not super clumpy. It's not a lot. It looks very, very natural. But this is the type of mascara you can build on top of, and you can make this as dramatic as you want. So just like the foundation, I think this could take you from day to night. This could take you from very, very beginner stages to wanting to wear more nighttime dramatic looks, because the more you layer this, the more you're going to get out of it. I don't think eyeliner is something you need when you're starting with makeup, but what I do think helps a lot is making sure that when you're applying your mascara, you're going all the way to the root of your lashes where you're touching your actual lash line with the wand. What that's going to do is deposit right here some product so that it looks like you're wearing eyeliner, because you're almost tight lining your upper lash line with mascara without having to apply any. All right, and then last but not least, our lips. And again, I gave this one a lot of thought because I wanted something that's going to stay on, because I know at least the beginners in makeup in my life are not the type of people that are going to remember to reapply lipstick every hour or two, especially with wearing masks, and they want something that they can just throw on and forget about. So for that, I chose this L'Oreal liquid lipstick in the shade I Create. This has been a favorite of mine forever, and I love the formula of this because it feels like absolutely nothing. I've talked about this before, but it just feels weightless. It feels like water, but it is a liquid lipstick, so it lasts quite a long time. I also like that the applicator is super thin, so you don't need to worry about a lip liner because you can really be precise with this and apply it all over your lips without needing a liner or any other product. I think this is a super wearable shade. You're gonna forget you have anything on your lips because it's so comfortable. It doesn't feel like anything, especially once it's completely dry, and it's gonna last on you for a very long time. So definitely my first choice, but if that seems a little bit too intimidating, you're not quite ready for a lipstick, then I would say these e.l.f. Ride or Die lip balms would be my second choice. This is in the shade Tough Cookie, and it's just a really low maintenance lip product you could throw in your purse and just reapply with your finger. So I'll just show you how I apply. You can kind of see the color here as well. It's a very comfortable balm that's both practical and looks really pretty. And that is everything. I think that is everything you need for a cohesive beginner makeup kit. Like I said, mix and match and use different products that I talked about depending on what you want out of your makeup collection. I really hope that you guys found this video helpful. I'm sorry about the lighting changes. I bought a new light, so hopefully that problem will be solved here soon within the next couple of weeks, because I just can't trust the sunlight. It's very fickle. But thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe while you are here, and I will see you guys in my next one.